God!
We've seen wild backstage attacks in WWE. People get jumped, legends get humiliated. Even Vince caught hands once, while in the hospital. But what Randy Orton did at WrestleMania 41 seemed to have crossed a line. There's even talk he might get banned for life. In this video, we're breaking down exactly what went down, and why you might have already seen Randy Orton for the very last time on the ring. The injury that changed everything. To understand the full scope of what transpired, we need to rewind to November 8th, 2024, a date that would prove to be a turning point in Randy Orton's illustrious career. On that fateful evening during SmackDown, something happened that would sideline one of WWE's most reliable performers for months and set in motion a chain of events that would culminate in one of the most controversial moments in recent WWE history. Kevin Owens delivered a brutal package piledriver to Randy Orton, a move so dangerous that it had been banned from WWE programming for years. The attack wasn't just a storyline beat, it resulted in a very real injury that would keep the Viper away from the ring for an extended period. The company announced that Orton had suffered cervical cord neuropraxia, a serious spinal injury that left his wrestling future uncertain. The severity of this injury cannot be understated. Orton was sidelined for over 4 months, with WWE initially announcing no timetable for his return. For a performer who had weathered countless injuries throughout his 2-decade career, this was perhaps the most serious setback he had ever faced. While Randy Orton was recuperating from his injury, the WWE landscape continued to evolve. Kevin Owens, the man responsible for the attack, had embarked on a destructive path that saw him target former friends and allies. His actions weren't limited to Orton. He had also brutalized Cody Rhodes and Sami Zayn with similar piledriver attacks, establishing himself as one of WWE's most dangerous and unpredictable superstars. But Orton's absence only served to fuel the anticipation for his eventual return. The wrestling world knew that when the Viper finally came back, there would be hell to pay. And that moment came in the most dramatic fashion possible during one of WWE's most prestigious events. Orton made his triumphant return at Elimination Chamber Toronto on March 1st, 2025, attacking Kevin Owens after his unsanctioned match against Sami Zayn. The Toronto crowd erupted as Orton delivered his signature RKO to Owens, attempting to follow it up with his devastating punt kick before being restrained by security. The imagery was powerful and symbolic. Randy Orton, the patient predator, had bided his time and struck when his prey was most vulnerable. The attack wasn't just about physical retribution, it was about psychological warfare, reminding Owens and the entire WWE universe that some actions have consequences that extend far beyond the confines of a single match. Following his return at Elimination Chamber, Randy Orton wasted no time in making his intentions clear. During a memorable promo on the March 7th, 2025 episode of SmackDown from Philadelphia, Orton delivered one of his most passionate and personal speeches in years.
You see, guys, Kevin Owens, the wrestler, I respect. His story on how he got here, how he busted his ass to get to the WWE, it's really quite admirable when you think about it. You could say that I admire Kevin Owens, the wrestler.
But Orton's respect for Owens, the performer, didn't extend to his feelings about Owens, the person.
But it's Kevin Owens, the man, that I have a problem with. Now, there's a quote out there, I'm gonna butcher it, but I'm gonna try and deliver it here as verbatim as possible. It goes, never underestimate a jealous man's ability to destroy another man. If you ask me, that's Kevin Owens to the T. Kevin Owens' veins run with jealousy.
This promo painted a picture of a man who had spent months analyzing not just his physical recovery, but also the psychological motivations behind the attack that had sidelined him. Orton dissected Owens' character with surgical precision, pointing to jealousy as the driving force behind his former friend's destructive behavior. What made this feud particularly compelling was how it blurred the lines between storyline and reality. While professional wrestling is predetermined entertainment, the physical toll it takes on performers is very real. Orton's injury was was legitimate, and his 4-month absence from television was a direct result of Owens' actions within the storyline. This intersection of real and scripted elements added layers of authenticity to their rivalry that resonated deeply with fans. When Orton spoke about the toll the industry had taken on his body, when he referenced his previous spinal fusion surgery, and when he discussed the uncertainty of his return, these weren't just empty words in a wrestling promo. They were the genuine feelings of a veteran performer who had dedicated his life to the business.
A year and a half ago, I had a spinal fusion, and I was told that that was a career-ending surgery, a career-ending injury. Doctor after doctor told me that that was it. Hang up the boots, you're done, your in-ring career is over, but I wouldn't take no for an answer.
As momentum built throughout March 2025, it became clear that WWE was positioning Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens as one of the marquee matches for WrestleMania 41. The personal animosity, combined with both men's proven ability to deliver in big match situations, made this one of the most anticipated encounters on the card. The match was officially announced during a heated confrontation in Bologna, Italy, where both superstars reaffirmed their animosity despite Owens' half-hearted attempt at an apology. The storyline had all the elements of a classic WWE feud: a legitimate injury, personal betrayal, months of anticipation, and two of the company's most skilled performers ready to settle their differences on the grandest stage of them all. But fate, as it often does in the unpredictable world of professional wrestling, had other plans. The dream match that fans had been eagerly anticipating would never come to pass, and the alternative solution would set in motion the events that would allegedly lead to Randy Orton's shocking banishment from WWE. The WrestleMania fallout and rising tensions. Just 2 weeks before WrestleMania 41, the WWE Universe received news that would shatter their expectations and fundamentally alter the trajectory of one of the most personal feuds in recent memory. During the April 4th, 2025 episode of SmackDown, in one of the most emotional moments in recent WWE history, Kevin Owens stepped into the ring to deliver news that no one wanted to hear. The announcement hit the wrestling world like a thunderbolt. Kevin Owens revealed that he required immediate neck surgery, effectively ruling him out of his highly anticipated WrestleMania 41 match against Randy Orton. The irony was not lost on anyone. The man who had injured Orton with a piledriver was now sidelined by his own neck injury, potentially ending the very feud he had started. If Kevin Owens' announcement was emotional, Randy Orton's reaction was volcanic. After months of careful rehabilitation, mental preparation, and building anticipation for his moment of revenge, Orton found himself robbed of the closure he desperately sought. The frustration that had been simmering since November finally boiled over. When SmackDown general manager Nick Aldis delivered the news that Orton no longer had a WrestleMania match, the Viper snapped. This wasn't just a storyline beat. This was the explosion of months of pent-up frustration, disappointment, and genuine anger. For a performer who had dedicated his life to the business and had spent months preparing for what might have been his most personal match ever, the cancellation was devastating on multiple levels. Faced with the prospect of being left off WWE's biggest show of the year, Randy Orton made a bold decision. Rather than accept his fate, he chose to issue an open challenge for WrestleMania 41. This move demonstrated both his professionalism and his refusal to let circumstances beyond his control derail his career momentum. The challenge was answered by TNA World Champion Joe Hendry, a surprise that caught many off guard. Orton's victory over Hendry at WrestleMania 41 was decisive, demonstrating his continued excellence in the ring, despite the emotional turmoil surrounding the event. However, this substitution, while professionally executed, could not fill the emotional void left by the canceled Owens match. For Orton, defeating a relative outsider at WrestleMania was a far cry from the cathartic revenge he had been promised against the man who had injured him. In the aftermath of WrestleMania 41, Randy Orton found himself entangled in another high-profile feud, this time with the newly healed John Cena. Cena had shocked the wrestling world by turning against the fans and embracing a villainous persona, setting up a championship match between the two legends at Backlash 2025. The build-up to this match included some of the most personal and controversial moments in recent WWE history. Cena, embracing his heel role with disturbing enthusiasm, delivered promos that crossed lines many thought were sacred in modern WWE programming. His reference to Orton's past struggles was particularly inflammatory and demonstrated just how far Cena was willing to go to generate heat. WWE Backlash 2025. Live, held on May 10, 2025 in St. Louis, Missouri, promised to be a special night for Randy Orton. Fighting in his hometown against one of his greatest rivals for the WWE Championship seemed like the perfect opportunity to cap off a difficult period with a triumphant victory. The match itself was a classic encounter between two seasoned veterans. The 27-minute contest featured multiple finishers, referee bumps, and dramatic near falls, showcasing why both men were considered among the greatest performers of their generation. Orton put Cena through tables, survived multiple attitude adjustments, and came tantalizingly close to capturing the championship on several occasions. But once again, Randy Orton found himself denied the victory he sought. R-Truth's interference proved decisive, allowing Cena to retain the title through controversial means, including a low blow and a shot with the championship belt. The finish was heavily criticized for its reliance on outside interference and underhanded tactics, leaving many fans feeling that Orton had been robbed once again. If Randy Orton's reaction to the Owens injury, cancellation was volcanic. His response to the Backlash finish was absolutely explosive. The frustration that had been building for months, the injury, the canceled WrestleMania match, and now a controversial loss in his hometown, finally erupted in spectacular fashion. Orton delivered RKOs to multiple officials, including SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis, producers Shane Helms, Sean Daivari, Jamie Noble, and independent wrestler Austin Mulatalo, who was acting as an on-screen official. The image of Orton standing over a ring full of unconscious officials while his hometown crowd cheered wildly would become one of the defining moments of the event. These actions weren't random outbursts of frustration. They were the calculated responses of a man who felt that the system had repeatedly failed him. From the November injury that cost him months of his career, to the WrestleMania cancellation that denied him closure, and finally to the Backlash controversy that robbed him of championship gold in front of his home crowd, Randy Orton had endured a series of setbacks that would test anyone's patience. The pattern of attacks on authority figures, particularly Nick Aldis, suggested a deeper rebellion against the WWE system itself. This wasn't just about individual grievances, it was about a veteran superstar who felt that he was being systematically undermined by the very organization he had served faithfully for over 2 decades. By May 2025, Randy Orton had established himself as one of WWE's most unpredictable elements. His willingness to attack officials, his open defiance of authority, and his growing frustration with the company's creative direction had made him a loose cannon in an organization that prided itself on control and predictability. Social media speculation about potential disciplinary actions was rampant, with fans debating whether WWE would take real-world action against Orton's increasingly erratic behavior. Some viewed his actions as brilliant character work that elevated his Viper persona to new heights, while others worried that he was genuinely burning bridges with the company. The stage was set for a confrontation that would allegedly end with the most severe punishment WWE could impose, a lifetime ban from the company that had been Randy Orton's home for over 20 years. But as we'll discover in the final part of our investigation, the truth behind these explosive claims is far more complex than the headlines would suggest. The truth behind the banishment. As news of Randy Orton's alleged lifetime ban spread across social media and wrestling news outlets, the WWE universe was left in a state of shock and confusion. How could one of the company's most reliable performers, a third-generation superstar with over 2 decades of service, suddenly find himself permanently exiled from the organization that had essentially been his life's work? The answer, as it turns out, is far more nuanced than the sensational headlines would suggest. After conducting an exhaustive investigation into the claims, examining multiple sources, and analyzing the available evidence, a very different picture emerges, one that reveals the complex relationship between storyline drama and real-world consequences in the modern WWE landscape. Contrary to the explosive reports of a lifetime ban, Randy Orton remains under contract with WWE through a 5-year deal signed in August 2024, extending his tenure with the company until 2029. This contract, worth millions of dollars, represents WWE's continued investment in Orton as a cornerstone performer and clearly contradicts any notion of a permanent banishment. Furthermore, Orton has publicly expressed his desire to continue wrestling beyond his current contract, stating in interviews that he would love to sign another 5-year contract after his current deal expires. These are hardly the words of a man who has been banned from the company or who harbors any serious animosity toward WWE management. So where did these reports of a lifetime ban originate? The answer appears to lie in the intersection of several factors. characters, carefully crafted storyline elements, social media speculation, and the wrestling community's tendency to blur the lines between fiction and reality. Randy Orton's actions at Backlash 2025, specifically his attacks on multiple WWE officials, were designed to portray him as a rebel who had finally snapped under the pressure of repeated disappointments. These actions, while shocking within the context of the storyline, were carefully choreographed elements of WWE's ongoing narrative. The speculation about disciplinary action was further fueled by fan discussions on platforms like Twitter, where users debated the potential real-world consequences of Orton's fictional actions. Posts questioning whether Triple H would fire Orton gained traction, creating an echo chamber effect where speculation began to be treated as fact. One particularly persistent rumor claimed that Randy Orton had been suspended for causing a career-ending injury to Edge at Backlash 2025. This claim was not only false, but easily debunked. Edge, currently wrestling as Cope in AEW, was not even present at the Backlash event and has continued his active wrestling career with All Elite Wrestling. This false rumor appears to have been either a complete fabrication or a case of mistaken identity, possibly confusing events from different promotions or time periods. Its persistence in some circles demonstrates how quickly misinformation can spread in the wrestling community, particularly when it involves high-profile personalities. To understand why a lifetime ban would be entirely counterproductive for WWE, one must consider Randy Orton's value to the organization. With 14 World Championship reigns and over 2 decades of service, Orton represents one of WWE's most valuable assets, both in terms of in-ring performance and brand recognition. Reports suggest that Orton's career earnings with WWE will exceed $100 million when factoring in salary, bonuses, merchandise sales, and other revenue streams. This level of financial investment indicates that WWE views Orton as a cornerstone performer whose value extends far beyond individual storylines or temporary controversies. Moreover, at 45 years old, Orton continues to perform at an elite level. His recent matches have received critical acclaim, and his ability to work with younger talent while maintaining his star power makes him an invaluable asset for WWE's future plans. Rather than representing real-world disciplinary issues, Randy Orton's recent actions serve several important storyline purposes. First, they maintain his relevance as a main event performer by keeping him involved in high-profile conflicts with authority figures. The ongoing tension with SmackDown general manager Nick Aldis has been building for over a year and appears to be heading toward a major match, possibly at SummerSlam 2025. Second, these actions reinforce Orton's Viper persona as an unpredictable and dangerous competitor who operates by his own rules. This character work serves to differentiate him from other babyface performers and provides unique storytelling opportunities that leverage his reputation as a veteran who has seen it all in the wrestling business.
Owens and I are buddies outside the ring, and I really respect him as not only a wrestler, but like a husband and a father, and I know what it's like to go through an injury like that, and so I've actually had a couple conversations with him about what to expect and the mental, it's tough.
This quote reveals the reality behind the Orton-Owens storyline. Despite the intense, on-screen animosity and the real injury that Owens' piledriver caused, the two men maintain a respectful relationship outside of their professional roles. Orton's understanding and supportive approach to Owens' injury situation demonstrates the professionalism that both men bring to their work, even when dealing with storylines that involve real physical consequences.
So I know he's got that feeling, and I'll be thinking about him during this time, but I know he'll come back and we'll get to finish what we started.
Looking ahead, Randy Orton's trajectory within WWE appears to be one of continued prominence and success. Speculation about a potential match with Nick Aldis at SummerSlam 2025 suggests that WWE is actively planning major storylines around Orton for the remainder of 2025 and beyond. Furthermore, Orton's expressed desire to continue wrestling for another 5 years indicates that both he and WWE are aligned in their vision for his future. His ability to work with younger talent, his continued drawing power, and his versatility as both a face and heel character make him an invaluable asset for WWE's ongoing efforts to maintain continuity while developing new stars. The Randy Orton lifetime ban story serves as a cautionary tale about the importance of media literacy in the modern wrestling landscape. In an era where social media can amplify rumors at unprecedented speed, the line between storyline and reality becomes increasingly blurred. Wrestling fans, journalists, and content creators must exercise greater diligence in verifying information before presenting it as fact. The emotional investment that fans have in their favorite performers can make them particularly susceptible to believing dramatic claims, even when those claims lack credible sources or contradict readily available information. As we conclude this comprehensive investigation into Randy Orton's alleged banishment from WWE, one thing becomes crystal clear. Reports of the Viper's WWE demise have been greatly exaggerated. Far from being banned for life, Orton remains one of the company's most valuable and trusted performers, continuing to deliver memorable moments and compelling storylines that captivate audiences worldwide. The events that gave rise to the banishment rumors, from the Kevin Owens injury to the Backlash controversies, were real and impactful within the context of WWE's ongoing narratives. However, they represent the natural evolution of storylines designed to entertain and engage audiences, not genuine conflicts between performer and promotion. Randy Orton's legacy in WWE is secure, built on over 2 decades of excellence, professionalism, and adaptability. His current contract ensures that fans will continue to witness his evolution as a performer for years to come, and his expressed desire to extend his career beyond that contract suggests that the Viper will remain a fixture in WWE for the foreseeable future. In a business where the lines between reality and fiction are intentionally blurred, Randy Orton stands as a testament to the enduring power of great storytelling combined with exceptional athletic performance. His journey from the Legend Killer to the Apex Predator to his current incarnation as a rebellious veteran has been marked by constant evolution and reinvention. As WWE continues to navigate the challenges of modern sports entertainment, performers like Randy Orton provide the stability and star power necessary to bridge generational gaps and maintain audience engagement. Far from being banished, the Viper remains coiled and ready to strike, ensuring that his best moments may still lie ahead. The truth behind the headlines is often more complex than it initially appears, and in Randy Orton's case, that complexity reveals a story of resilience, professionalism, and the enduring bond between a performer and the company that has been his home for over 20 years. While the headlines may have suggested an ending, the reality points toward many more chapters yet to be written in the Randy Orton story. That brings us to the end of this video. For more interesting stories like this, click on the cards on your screen.